Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, every week on the show there's a highlight. A highlight. She brings a ray of sunshine to the show. She's the manager of our sponsors, G4 Claims. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hi everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the ray of sunshine quote. I absolutely love that.
There you go.
So, if you're involved in any sort of accident, please give us a phone. Speaking of sunshine, if the sun's been in someone's eyes and it causes an accident on the road, happens all the time, then please contact G4 Claims first. Now again, I know I say it every week, but we are listening, guys, because I'm getting calls every single week. It's absolutely fantastic. Even people just asking questions, asking advice. I love that because I want to point you in the right direction. If there's anything you're unsure about, phone us and ask us. If you've had any sort of accident, phone us first so we can provide you with a like-for-like replacement vehicle where yours is off the road. If your car's written off, we'll get the money back for the value of your car that you're happy with. Make sure you're not left in negative equity and all that. You know, we want to look after you. If your car's repairable, we'll get your car repaired at an approved body shop or a body shop of your choice. And if you're injured at all, we can claim your personal injury for you. We don't take any fee. All our services are totally free. They're billed to the at-fault insurance. So remember, guys, for any sort of advice, please phone us, because even if you phone me and I can't help you this time, I can maybe recommend what you can do, and then you can pass me on to someone else, or I can give them advice, or you can use me in the future. You know where I am. So phone us 01698 767 172. It's not at-fault claims, and they're made easy.
Easy.
Right, folks, now let's welcome to Football Daft a man who is a cult hero at both Dundee and Celtic. While at Parkhead, he won 3 league winners' medals and 3 Scottish Cup medals, and also played in the UEFA Cup final. It's the one and only Mr. Rab Douglas. Rab, thanks very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, mate. How's tricks?
Thanks for the invite. I just couldn't refuse Grado last night when he invited us on. I was delighted.
Aye, and it was a lovely video message that you sent me back. Mr. Fat Cat sitting in the bath.
Aye.
It was as soon as I replied by, I thought, I'm for a shower, so I got in the shower and I sent a video back to him in the shower.
Rab, I've shared a dressing room with Grado for about 4 years in a row now doing panto. That's not a pretty sight, mate. I've seen that a few times. Sorry about that, mate.
Easy. Calm down. Anyway, Rab, what I want to ask you right away for the start. Watching the football on Saturday, because obviously I watch Arbroath because one of my best mates is the captain, didn't there? Ricky Little.
No, fuck this. He's not it, Rab. He's not.
He is the captain.
Is Ricky Little the captain of Arbroath, Rab?
Ricky will be the vice captain. Tam's the captain, but Ricky's whenever.
Aye. So he's the captain. So shut up, Bob. Right. What I found very, very interesting, Rab, was you on the touchline. I think he's went up 2-1. Was that right? 2-1 with about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And you were very, very animated on the touchline. I thought that's rare. You see that, a goalie coach getting told right in about it. You were kicking every ball, you were heading every ball, you were shouting pelters. It was tremendous. How is life at Arbroath?
Love it, absolutely love it. I was up at Forfar with Dick Campbell and they sacked him. I went as a goalie coach and ended up playing a couple of years. So for a year I fell out of love with football. Just get scunnered with it. I left when they appointed Gary Boland and just thought it's not for me. Then after a while, the gaffer got in touch to help out Arbroath a couple of times, sitting in the bench. I played one game at Hampden. We beat Queen's Park. So the Fat Cat finished his career with a
victory at Hampden.
Grado, I think I nearly flattened Ricky. I came and caught a cross and I actually caught it and held it, and Ricky's underneath me, but I nearly flattened him. I think for me, being a goalie coach up there, I was always wary. I think one game it was just the gaffer and I there. His twin brother Ian and Youngie were away. And the gaffer says, Rab, get out and fucking coach. And I thought, oh. So then I spoke to him after the game about it. I said, what about me shouting? He says, you don't get many goalie coaches. He says, I absolutely love it, son. He says, it reminds me of me 20 years ago. So I've got carte blanche from the gaffer to encourage. I'm more encouraging the boys and giving them pelters. Probably give the referees more pelters. But the main thing is if you can sponsor, if one player does that wee extra run because you're encouraging them, you're doing your job, and the gaffer's 4 seats away from me, rolling and shouting at me to tell them. So that's what I do.
Aye.
Is it something you could see yourself doing, Rab? Get into management?
I never ever thought I'd even do the coaching. I'd always vowed as a player I wouldn't, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Listen, I'm learning off probably the 3 most experienced and the wisest manager in Scotland. So thoroughly enjoying it. And listen, we're punching above our weight and we're doing well in the championship. Still a lot of games to go, and it's going to be a slog for us, but the players have been a credit and it's really enjoyable. I never ever thought I'd say that, getting involved in the coaching side, but you think about it a bit differently than just being a player, so it's good.
Surely you've got to stay up.
Yes.
Aye.
I think the result at the weekend was massive for us.
That was big, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Hearts have got Allo on Friday night, so we can go to Wraith, and if I go at Wraith, and that's the one thing, we went in a great run. At Christmas, we were probably written off. Then we went in a 7 or 8 game run, and then we lost our last few, and I think folk would be thinking, that's the same away, but the spirit on Saturday, again, just shows that the boys, part-time, they never know when they're beating it. It's credit to them, they turn it. There's not many teams turned us over comprehensively.
So, recently, you get eliminated for the Scottish Cup by Falkirk. I think John was spouting off a bit about it, Rab.
Aye, John was very happy about that, wasn't he, John?
Man, he doesn't shut up about the Bairns.
He's a big Falkirk fan. He was
slating
you, Rab. Totally slating you. So
it's not Rab. They're just trying to put me in it.
John, I thought Falkirk probably, we normally play better with the wind and know the conditions up there, but Falkirk deserved their win. A couple of good goals that night, and we were probably disappointing. At the end of the day, it would have been great to go back to Celtic Park, but our bread and butter staying in this league, so you can have your wee glory run.
It looks freezing up that Arbroath every time you watch it.
What was that, Grado? Sorry?
It looks freezing in Arbroath every time I watch it on the wee fancy cameraman. It just looks bitterly cold. It looks as if it's like that in July. Is that the case?
Yeah, you get the gritters going up in May and June and things like that. But I think the point, everybody says, we train at Perth twice a week, as you'll know through Ricky, who's been amazing this year again. But we train at Perth, so our boys roll up to Arbroath and just get the sleeves rolled up and get on with it. It's the same for both teams. So,
Ricky told me to ask you if you get the holes for the goalie glove sorted in the training last night, did you?
Oh, honestly, Monday night I trained. I've been rubbish in my career, but I was hopeless on Monday night. I hadn't trained for 3 months. So I redeemed myself. I was a bit better last night, so the cat's making a comeback.
The cat's back. The cat's back.
Tell me this one, Rab, right? Mate. Grado mentions Ricky Little a good 4 or 5 times a week on this show.
Every week, mate. Every week.
And he's his 10th year at Arbroath. Right. See if he gets a testimonial. Can the 3 years play in it?
I'll probably cost you, but I would quite like. I'd probably chip in to see you 3 play again.
Well,
hey,
Bob!
Rab. Mate, you never even get your fingers. Your big horns didn't get near my penalty when I smashed it in the top corner past you.
Yards. Well done for 12 yards in a friendly.
Yeah.
Do you know that, actually?
I think Bobby Lynn's only this year, and Ricky as well. How Ricky manages to travel, and that's credit to his professionalism.
He's a total
player. Oh, you know him well, and he's slagging me for having hope. He's still got COVID in his football boots, by the way. As soon as the ball goes to his feet in a match day, I take cover in the dugout. I love him. He's been brilliant for us, honestly. A great player, steady Eddie.
We were talking there a minute ago about Stevie hitting a penalty and Ian scoring. Right, every so often it will come up saying like Alan McGregor's save against Sparta Prague in the first leg. Right, folk were saying it was one of the best saves ever. See, when people ask me what is the best save that they've ever seen, I always say your penalty save against Motherwell at Fir Park. Right, now, how the fuck did you manage to save that? You were away in the wrong direction in the whole bloody 9 yards. How did you manage to get your hand up to save that, Rab?
I don't know. It was a good clean sheet that day, certainly. Good win. Obviously, I supported Motherwell as a kid, but I think it was Derek Adams that took it. It's probably one of my better penalty saves, but Stephen's telling us he scored, but I'm just going to put Stephen right in his place. Between you and me, who saved Luis Figo's penalty, Stephen?
Mate, I've never heard of him.
Aye, all right, Grado.
No, mate, I was that day, that charity match. I remember when I first met you and I shook your hand. Now I'm fucking of the very small stature. Shook your hand. I was like, fuck me. I was the rest, every other penalty that they took in my team, you fucking saved every one apart from mine. So that's my claim to fame, mate, and I'm holding on to it. Know what I mean?
Well, do you know what? I've got a story for Rab, and I told Rab it in the charity game. We were standing in the middle of the park. I says, I've got a bone to pick with you, big man. Celtic versus FK Saduva. Right? My dad had bet 8-0 and Jos Valharin to score the last goal. Right? Now it was about 250 to 1 and my dad had a tenner on it, right? So we're winning 8-0. Jos Valharin scored the last goal. There's 2 minutes left. Rab gets the ball, passes it to one of their players, boom, 8-1. I could have see if there wasn't billboards twice the height of me, I'd have been on that fucking pitch, I'll tell you.
Come on, don't gamble.
Aye, exactly. Boom. When the fun stops, stop.
That wouldn't be your dad that sent a letter into me then saying that he had that bet on. I bet it was.
No, seriously, it wasn't my dad that sent you a letter, but did somebody send you a letter about that?
Aye, somebody did. Well, so it was either you or your dad.
Was the writing joined up? If the writing was joined up, it wasn't me.
Here, I don't want to get you crab it, Fat Cat. That's one thing I don't want to get you. Is I don't want to get in a sour mood. But Toll's obviously talking about your favourite saves and stuff like that. My kind of favourite memory of yours, a game maybe about 15 years ago, and Gregory Vinal scored his first ever goal against you at Parkhead. How was that day?
Horrible.
Aye.
I
feel bad for bringing that up now, man.
See, I swear to God, man,
you're an arsehole, Grado.
You can actually tell when the fucking interviews are on Zoom now. You see, if you're in a studio, no chance would you had the fucking boss to ask you that.
No chance.
I'm going to get you camelled, man.
No, I had a shocker that day with the goal. Actually, as he's hit it, I'm thinking he's coming in and I'm actually looking where I'm going to throw it and took my eye off it. Horrible goal to lose. But I'm quite sure you enjoyed yourself anyway. Well,
I was right behind the goals, man. Do you know what? Fuck it, because you had a lot more good games against that lot than you had bad games. Do you know what I mean? So
no, that's why. We'll see. The thing is, though, I would never have brought that up if that wasn't the case.
No, that's it. Do you know what
I mean?
Being a goalie, though, that's just the nature. Oh, look at the boy Barkas now, right? The pressure's on him. He's getting slaughtered left, right, and centre. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's not come in and hit the ground running, but how many goals have actually been howlers that he's flogged?
Aye.
He's lost goals that you maybe think maybe a better goalie or another goalie would say. Aye. Maybe he's settled. Maybe it's coming in for a different environment. But again, if French Eddie misses one up front, that's what happens. That's the nature of being a striker. Aye. If you're a goalie, make a mistake, it's in the back of the net.
And especially as like an old firm goalie, so we've had goalies on here in the past, and they'll always say you could go for playing in an SPFL team where you're worked the full 90 minutes, but then you sign for an old firm team and you've maybe only got one or two saves to make, and if you don't make that one save, man, then you're going to get called out and your life's going to be made a misery, isn't it?
I think that's when it goes in the spotlight more, to be honest, is the old firm game. That's in the media now, you know. Probably it's easier to blame somebody than look at other things. So as being a goalie, you make a mistake, it's in the net. Let's be honest. It's trying to minimalise how many games you can go, getting a run with clean sheets and not making a mistake.
So, Rab, Stevie's been moaning all day, right, because we're doing the podcast when the Masters is on the telly. Now, we're going to be getting out of lockdown soon, and obviously we're friends on Facebook, so I see a lot of your updates about the golf day that you do in memory of your pal. So yeah. Are you looking forward to getting back to that? Are you going to be doing it this year if possible?
I think we're penciled in for the 30th or 31st of August, hopefully all going well. Even last year during lockdown, I mean, it all goes to the Beatson in Glasgow, where
that's a great charity.
£310,000. My pal Gordon Cowan was a Motherwell fan. 24 years he passed away now. So we've golfed for 16 years. His mum didn't want him to forget him. So to be fair, £310,000 for a wee town like Lanark's incredible. And it keeps...
superb.
We do a ball in August or September out at Lanark now. We're probably going to have to push that onto a Christmas ball this year. But we try and do events that, you know, Lanark's not a massive town, but certainly everybody turns up and supports us. And as you say, the Beatson's a fantastic charity that needs a lot of.
That is.
I'm doing Pelt Walk for it in a fortnight's time for the Beatson charity. So that's.
Do you know what? I don't think there's anybody in Scotland that's not had some sort of connection to the Beatson.
That's it,
you
mate.
know, and it's like we said, it's a phenomenal charity. So more power to you there, Rab. And £310,000 is an incredible amount of money to be raising.
That is unbelievable, man. Well played, mate. Well played.
We'll get back to the football now. So, you started your career. Was it Meadowbank that you started your career at, Rab?
Meadowbank, Thistle, yep.
And how was that? They moved to Livy. What was the transition like?
I was actually playing at the time. The first year I went there, I was kind of just in the reserves helping out. Steve Ellison and Jim McQueen were the goalies. It was actually Donald Park that signed us and George Mackey. And I actually didn't think I was good enough. I thought I'll have a year there and go back. And they signed us again. And he kicked on from there. The first year I didn't have enough belief in myself, thinking I've came from Simon and Tinto, an amateur team in between Lanark and Biggar, and great bunch of boys, you know. Just the camaraderie there was brilliant. And I always thought I'd maybe had the chance to go junior a couple of times, but kind of kicked on at Meadowbank and started, I think, played about a year before we moved to Livingston. Then we went into Livingston and they signed some guys full time. And I was actually just saying to somebody there, my first wage at Meadowbank was £15 a week.
15 quid a week.
Wow.
They're all Ricky paid. I think we used to get a tenner expenses for me to get from Lanark. Cost me about 15 quid, but I had because I wanted to. And obviously played regularly, got to Livingston, did well at Livingston. We won the 3rd division with Livingston, with Jim Leishman, and we were up. Hamilton Accies just pipped us, and then Billy Thompson came and watched us for Dundee. So I was in the Retain Fire Brigade at Lanark as well, and I said to the boys, we were going to a shout, I said, Dundee are in for us for 30 grand, and they're like, aye, fuck off. So I went, and it turned out I went to training the next night, and John McCormick was there with the contract. It was already written out. It was take it or leave it. 60 grand in a 40 grand player, 100 grand deal. So one of going through part time in Brecon to Retain Fire to full time at Dundee to work under Billy Thompson, and we won the championship that year. So we were straight up in the SPL. It was brilliant.
So, Rab, you moved to. You're saying there that you moved to Dundee in a deal which was quite a big deal for Dundee at the time. How was your first spell? I remember, see, whenever we used to play against Dundee and you were in goals, you were like fucking Billy the Fish, honest to God. And then see, when we signed you, I was over the moon, purely because we wouldn't have to play against you again. But how was your first spell at Dundee?
Obviously, working with Billy Thompson day in, day out was amazing. All the time in the world, and grateful for Billy having the patience to work with us. But probably when you come for a building site, etc., you've maybe just got that wee bit more desire. And, you just want to try and succeed. And that's what it was. I moved up to Dundee. I couldn't handle the travelling. I did it for about a month and hated it. Absolutely hated it. So moved up to Dundee, and it was the best thing. And be fair, at the time, Big Leash says to us, Robert, you're going to Sleeping Giants. And Dundee kicked on. Peter and Jimmy Marr took a gamble on us, and it worked well. We got promoted, and we were in the SPL, and thoroughly enjoyed it. We had Jockey Scott, we had the Italians. Just, you know,
what a time! What was Jockey Scott like, Rab?
Brilliant. One of the best coaches you'll get. Training regimes, routines, unbelievable. And I think Jockey and the grandkids mellowed them out a bit as well, you know, by that time. But again, him and Jimmy Bone were first-class coaches to work with.
Rab, so obviously, like, Jockey Scott, good time at Dundee and stuff, but then, obviously, Celtic came in. Were you shocked when Celtic came in?
I was just about a time where I could have went a free agent, to be fair. Went Bosman. He signed at Dundee because I think Dundee took a chance in me, and I thought it's fair that they get something back if I move on.
That's something that's fell out of the game, man. That's.
I think, listen, you're probably grateful. Probably grateful and appreciate the chance to go full time. But I think when Rangers were in first for us, but I was told I would only play 4 games. Kloss was injured, and then I'd sit on the bench, and that just didn't appeal to me. I never spoke to Dick Advocaat directly, but again, something else in the game. Blair Morgan was my agent, and Blair says to me, Robert, I'll double my money if you go to Rangers. He says, but if you want to play, I'm advising you go to Celtic. And I went and met Martin O'Neill, and after meeting Martin O'Neill and Robbo and Wally, it was brilliant. And I wasn't guaranteed anything even there. It was between me and Gouldy at the time, and it just couldn't go off there.
Rab, you're saying like you never met with Advocaat then, and you were offered Rangers, but when you went and you met and sat down with Martin O'Neill, was it just instant Martin O'Neill? You're just like, aye, I want to play for this guy.
He's unbelievable. I think you just obviously you go and meet and you're not convinced that it's going to happen. But I think the assurances, the way he speaks to you and the encouragement, and he wants you to feel part of the team. It was great that way. And manager, obviously got a lot of his similarities with Brian Clough, but he could manage the boys unbelievable.
Where do you think that the future in management kind of lies? Because a lot of people, because Celtic are looking for a new manager just now, they're saying that they want to move away more for the kind of Martin O'Neill, kind of Roy Keane mould, Neil Lennon kind of mould. Do you think if Martin O'Neill was just coming through as a manager just now, do you think he would be as successful as he was back then? Or do you think football's moved on for that style of management now?
I think football moves on, but I mean, you're talking. You've got managers now trying to reinvent the wheel, playing out for the back. In the lower leagues in Scotland, when it's blowing howling gales, no quite the wheel. When you've got top coaches doing it in arenas, that's understandable. Guys that are comfy with the ball, but there's nothing worse than seeing somebody with no comfy with the ball at their feet and they're trying to play it out for the defence at the back. It's crazy, but I think. The Roy Keane, Martin O'Neill and Lenny and that, I think that's a bit unfair towards them. You look at their success and achievements. Football moves on all the time, but they're still successful managers in their own right.
Right. But your appearances for Scotland, Rab, I take it that was a mega proud moment for you to get called up. I'm sure you get called up under two managers. Was it Bertie and Walter that called you up?
Yeah, I trained with them for Al Main, and I trained with the squad for years, or a couple of years. Alan Hodgkinson at the time, which was another great experience. Hodgie was the original goalie guru.
That's right.
And it was at the time it was Sully and Gouldy were the goalies, and Alan Main and I went, and a brilliant experience. You're talking top squad then, McAllister, John Collins, all of those guys, and worked under Bertie and Walter as well. So great time. Listen, playing for your country is one of the proudest moments you'll get. Nobody can take it away from you. Folk might say, but you've got your international cap. You've played. You've done well. You've maybe not done well in our game, but you've got your international. It's great.
What was the national camp like when Bertie was in charge, Rab?
It was absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. Great with me. I think he was good with all the boys, to be fair. And you look, he brought in your Darren Fletchers, your Scott Browns, guys like that. When you think of it, Faddy, Faddy was his cheeky boy. But again, he brought all these players through, and probably he got a bit of unfair criticism because, okay, we beat Holland 1-0 at Hampden, then they battered us over there. But I think you've got to remember the squad that Holland had, Van Nistelrooy and all those guys. Time Van der. Again, Bertie got a lot of stick, and I think some of it was unjustified. I think it's because maybe he came in as a foreigner. We were as close to qualifying as we'd been in a long, long time, certainly.
Aye, definitely. I watching Scotland at that time was great. It really was, man. And like you say, like the young players that were coming through, it was fresh, and you get that kind of feeling just now with the Scotland squad as well. Like that Scotland squad, although they don't seem to be performing to the highest standard, there's a great squad of players there that are just not quite reaching the potential. Do you know?
Look at the team I just go. There is so many good players in that team now. They're really, with the Scottish team, there's like the midfield's phenomenal, defence. You get Tierney, Robertson we're talking about. There's a lot of potential there.
I'm just looking forward to getting down to London to hopefully watch him, or hopefully be somewhere near. I've had the pleasure and privilege of being bussed in with the police escort and standing. I want to go and enjoy the other side as a fan as well, because I'm patriotic and watch Scotland's quite high up my agenda, to be honest.
Aye.
But see, I like when you say that when you're into the stadium, you get thing we done off the post and all that. Wee memories like that sounds brilliant. But is there what memory stands out most in your mind where you go, wow, man, this is the coolest. This is what it's all about, man. I've made it. Aye, good one.
I think Hampden, I got to be honest, I made my debut up at Pittodrie against Nigeria. JJ Okocha, believe it or not, was played. But I think standing at Hampden singing the national anthem was one of the proudest moments, you know, because as a kid, you grow up, as a kid I wanted to be a fireman or a footballer, so, you know, double whammy and unbelievable. And for me, it was to late players could still make it internationally and develop as a, you know, it was on.
In there, Rab, about the UEFA Cup final, and in the build-up to the UEFA Cup final, you were probably the most, with the exception of Henrik, I would say, you were the most consistent player in that Celtic squad throughout that whole campaign. And I always go back to the game at Anfield. Now, some of the saves you made that night were absolutely outstanding. What's your memories of that game? Because that was a big game for us, you know.
For me, I tell boys this story. For me, I was a Liverpool fan growing up. King Kenny's my ultimate hero. Met him once and was speechless. Actually called him Mr. Douglas, but unbelievable. Absolute hero of mine. So to go to Liverpool and get a clean sheet was amazing. Obviously, had a couple of good saves for Gerrard, but when Johnny stuck the second one in, I'll never forget, turned round and there was one guy in the Kop, I caught eyes. We've made eye contact. He's in the hoops jumping up and down, and I'm jumping about the 18-yard box at Anfield. Wee boy feel that. Amazing. But as you say, Chris, I think I performed pretty consistent. I think it was pretty hard for Bobo and I to get the criticism all in the final, but that's the nature of football, and being the goal and probably coming out and saying, I think I made a few good saves before even half time. And I just felt you win and lose as a team all the way up there.
Aye.
The final, just felt there was a couple of scapegoats, but listen, that's the nature, and that's part of being a goalie, I suppose.
You know what? I was there. I was at that game. I was in the stadium that night, and you know, see when I came out, I wasn't upset. I wasn't disappointed. The feeling was more a feeling of pride in the team, because everybody had Porto fucking hammering us that night. Everybody had them scalping us, and you know what? We took them every step of the way. If we had managed to get it to penalties, I think we would have won. I think we would have won the cup. But it was just a lot of people were giving some of the players some stick and stuff like that, but at no point did I feel as if the players done anything other than exceptionally well. Honestly, I know obviously there was a few individual mistakes, but you can't judge a full season on that, can you?
I think you look, you win and lose as a team, that's fine. Some of the criticism was quite hurtful. I think Bobo got some, I get some, other players get some. When we were getting clean sheets down at Anfield, everybody was in it together, and that's just the way I'm quite happy to remember it. I think what an achievement for a team that Porto went on to win the Champions League the following year. It probably launched Mourinho as well. That's how good they were.
Aye.
And we were so close. Still a major, probably the most disappointing football result a Celtic fan or player will get, you know. So
was it obviously the most special team you've ever been involved with, Rab?
I think the boys have got a bond together. You know, we've had nights out, we're playing the charity games at Celtic Park and that, and it's amazing. You know, you catch up as if you've never been away.
It's like soldiers that have been to Vietnam together.
Well, we've been together, so that'll do. Well, I think you look, I quite pally with Big Johnny and Sutty and Lenny, keep in touch with Bobby and Stan and Gouldy, you know, so the core's there. And I think everybody will have be friendship group, but I think when you meet up together again, it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking in our Patreon thing where we do teammates, you were talking about Henrik Larsson and like Moravchik. I mean, like when you went to Celtic and you seen these guys firsthand, how good were they? The one
that stuck out to me especially was Stillane, because Stillane, you know, we stay behind and do shooting, and honestly, Stillane's got one of the hardest shots I've seen. in that time, and he was still improving. He was a young player, and the work rate that Stillian put in, obviously being a foreigner, coming to improve himself. It's funny because Lamb always said he was a wee chunky monkey when he started at Celtic, but I didn't see that in Stillian. You know, he was half-time, he had to change his shirt. There was that much sweat in it. You know, it was just, it was unbelievable.
He was always one of the players, man. His runs for middle, it was so hard to pick up. Always so hard to pick up.
Goals he got for him, and attacking with fielder.
Like you said there as well, Rab, the work that he put in as well. I've read his autobiography, and to learn English, he worked out in a burger van outside Celtic Park. So that he could learn more English. He actually done shifts in a burger van outside Celtic Park.
I didn't know that, Tom.
I think he struggled to settle in at the start when I think that probably helped him. But again, what a great teammate, funny. We've had nights in Shanghai, shuffle and stands came and joined us, and you got to, you know, you're maybe in another couple of in company with another couple of people, you got to pay your bill, and Stillian's left bluttered, and he's paid the table. You know, that's just he doesn't think it that way. He's just a generous, nice character and a great lad.
Well, but Rab, talking about like how special that team was then, the Celtic team, how hard was it when it came to an end, when you moved on? Was it a hard decision to move on?
I think Martin's wife hadn't been well, and he was leaving as well. I think Jackie was going, Henrik was going. So I think when you look at a cycle, I was there 4.5 years, and it was unbelievable, you know. So probably Gordon Strachan was coming in and didn't want to keep us, and he signed Boric, who was an unbelievable goalie, made mistakes again, but got away with it sometimes as well. That's the nature.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think, like, because I remember Boric making quite a few howlers, right? And you didn't make any more than he did, but the Celtic fans were always on your back, but he seemed to get away with it. Why was that? Why do you think that was? I think it was the whole, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything wrong about him, but I think it was the whole bliss in his cell and the Pope t-shirt, and I think it was his character.
I think possibly part of his character. Listen, he made saves that were unbelievable. I think he took a penalty in, was it semi-final or final?
Aye, scored a penalty
Unbelievable.
against United.
Again, Arthur made as many mistakes as me, but that's the nature, and it's different cycles, different eras, different managers. You know, look, Magnus came in and struggled at Celtic as well. The goalkeeper, Dimitri never really played. At least Gouldy played, and that's the one thing with me. If I made a mistake, I always wanted to try and get back the following week, unless the manager was changing it. You know, he would maybe say, "No, you've made 2 mistakes in a row," but I can't quite work it out. And now look at Barkas, is quite a strange one.
Aye. When you look at Celtic now, then Rab, obviously Rangers won the league, right? What do you think of Celtic now, and who would you want to come in to be the manager?
I think they've got, me personally, I think they've got to get somebody in before the end of the season. That's my personal opinion. So they can start looking at players out of contract, so they can start going through probably the backroom staff, etc., whatever they want to do. Because one of the reasons I left Forfar was because I wasn't wanting to work with Gary Bole and that, because I worked with Dick Campbell. I was Campbell's coach. I was loyal that way. And when Dick Campbell got attacked, although I was playing in the team at the time, it was time for me to leave, you know. And I for that, but I just thought I did the right thing. So you've got to look. I think Eddie Howe would be a great appointment, because I think Bournemouth punched well above their weight, you know. And I know that the Premiership, there's big money in there, but when you look at what he achieved over the period of years he was there, was amazing.
That's what I was saying to Chris earlier on before you came on. I seen Eddie Howe talking the other day, saying he's not going to accept any job until the summertime. Do you think that's too late then? Do you think you're saying you need somebody in the now?
I think that would be too late. If that was the scenario, I would be looking at another appointment. Might be somebody comes available shortly. You never know. There might be somebody. Celtic might pay compensation. Dermot's got big decision making that aspect. You know, you're wanting to get a top appointment. Somebody, I think a Benitez or that as well, if available. You know, if they fancied it, would be a great one again.
What is it? What is the script, right? Answer me this one, Rab, right? Why does it seem as though Celtic always take 100 fucking years to get any sort of deal done? What is it? Why can they not just go out? They've got one of the richest men in British football at the helm. Why can they not just go out and go, right, this is our man, we want you the now, name your price, get your arse in here, get us going for next season? Why does it always take so long? We lost Ben Davies because we never bothered, we were humming and hawing about getting him signed up, and he's ended up at Liverpool. This Eddie Howe thing absolutely reeks of that for me. It reeks of it. See if Eddie Howe's saying, I don't want to sign for a team until the summer. See if you turn around and open the checkbook and offer him the money, he'll be fucking signing, believe you me. So it goes back to this biscuit tin mentality for 100 years ago. It's pish.
I think, though, you look, Chris. Right, you're right there, Chris.
Take a drink of juice, man. Take a drink of juice.
I've ran out, Grado.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Toe, get a fat fence, mate, and tell us what you really think, boy. Come on.
You look, though, Brendan Rodgers came in and was a breath of fresh air, great for Scottish football. Same as Gerrard, to be fair. Big names. I'm quite sure he would have been a big salary, whether Celtic was paying it or Dermot was paying it. Again, Brendan Rodgers goes down south for probably triple, quadruple his wages, in all honesty. So the money's in England. If they want to go and chase money, they'll stay in England.
Aye, but what's he got? That's the thing. Do you want somebody with that mentality?
I never mind that. I mean,
no, but I'm being serious. So, do you want somebody at the helm with that mentality? See, for example, Brendan Rodgers came up here to rebuild his reputation, right? And he done it. And fair enough, he's then moved on, and he's doing brilliantly in the Premiership with Leicester. The teams that, all right, Newcastle might be coming up available. Everybody says they're a sleeping giant, but I've never seen a Newcastle team win anything ever. Right, so they're not a sleeping giant for me. They're a mediocre club. Right, they're a large club. They're a one team city. Right, but for me, Newcastle are a bigger team than Celtic. They're nowhere near a bigger team than Celtic. And if he's going to stay down there for family reasons, fair dues, but come out and say that, do you know what I mean? It's not, Celtic are a massive club, and they should be an attraction for any manager that's out of a job. So I don't know why the fuck he's dragging his heels on it. It's doing my head in, man, honestly.
Who do you want the job then?
Who do I want to get the job? I would love to see Eddie Howe take the job, right? But see if he's dragging his heels, move on, like you said. Move on. If there's somebody else...
You've got to get an appointment in before the end of the season so you
I
can
agree with you.
overhaul it.
Do you know what? No. Obviously, you played with him, and there's no malice involved or anything like that. But I think the job's too big for John Kennedy just now, right? And I see the longer that this goes on, I can see him getting the job, and it's worrying me, to be honest with you, because I think that will set us back a few years, Rab, and we're not in a position where we can do that.
Get Dick Campbell in.
That's what I was going to say.
Aye, this is turning into a fucking Celtic podcast.
Hold on. See if would you lead Dick Campbell to go and be the Celtic goalie coach, Rab?
Oh no, listen, I'm 15 miles up the road. I don't mind.
Right, cool.
Anyway, just gloss over that big point. I made you a bunch of fannies.
Cool. Do you want to go and get a wee drink of juice now, Camden?
By the way, it's 2 fucking Xanax I'm needing.
Aye, right. Rab, back to yourself, mate, because you're the guest, right? Back to you, mate, right? You're saying how good that team was. You got to UEFA Cup final stuff. See, when you went to Dundee for the second time and there was a 25-point deduction, when you got into administration for the second time and you still managed to stay up there, how proud of that team were you?
That's as big an achievement as up there as winning a title with Celtic because of the result. We took one of the boys came from Lochee, Craig Robertson, mad Dundee fan, played 2 or 3 games for us, donated his testimonial money, which was 10 or 12 grand into the Dundee, the fund.
That's a great gesture.
Just the camaraderie. I mean, I was playing with a strained thigh. Wee Higgy was playing with a stake in his boot. He'd done his ankle or something like that. It was unbelievable. Just the bunch of boys there again. There's certain... The best thing in football is when you've got a cause to fight for, you know, when you're maybe written off as underdogs or something like that. And that was, you know, that, to be honest, the penalty they tried to... I don't think if Dundee went down, Dundee would still have been here. I think they would do if we'd get relegated that year.
Because, mate, that's like, I mean, that's an unbelievable achievement, that, though, when you look at it on paper and you see that back and you go, 25-point deduction, you've got guys coming in, you're playing with injuries, and it's like, that's unbelievable, man.
Oh, yeah,
Barry Smith, manager, and we played Stirling the first game, and Barry's team talk, because we had Billy Dodds and Gordon Chisholm. The administrator basically took them out. So Barry came in and he was unbelievable, you know, so professional for Barry's first job. And I'm a good pal of Barry's, but to watch him in his first team talk, I thought it's one of these, you never know how it's going to go. And I thought, you've got the meeting at the palm of your hand. And the boys just went and knocked their pan in every Saturday again. It was unbelievable to watch.
Hi, Rab, honestly, mate, it's been class talking to you, man. It's been brilliant. But every week on Football Daft, we put our guests' football knowledge to the test with a 90-second quiz. You up for it, big man?
They have to.
Aye. Mate, see if it was in the studio and you asked us that question, but no, big man, it's all right.
Aye, on you go, man.
But, mate, right, I'll read through the scores, right? David Martindale's top of the leaderboard with 16. In joint second, it's John Sutton and Chick Young with 15. Mark Wilson and Keith Lasley are tucked just behind them with 14. Other selected scores include Peter Grant on 13, John Hartson on 7.5, and Barry Feastenders is on 4, right? And at the bottom, it's a tie between Peter Lovenkrands, Derek Johnston, Craig Levine, and Mixu Patalainen on 3. Is there anybody you want to beat there?
As long as I'm no bottom, I don't mind.
Right, well, mate, you need to get more than 3 then, and you're beating Lovenkrands, Derek Johnson, Craig Levine, and Mixu, right? More than 3.
If it's for the 92, be in with a chance, right? Let's go.
Right, cool. Chris, do you want to ask your questions, my man?
You want me to ask him? Right, okay, look.
And
right.
mate, you can't pass. You need to get an answer.
Even if you don't know, mate, just give any answer.
Any answer at all.
What's that?
I'll decide if I'm passing grade.
Right, okay.
Right, okay. Fair enough. Right, so 90 seconds on the clock, John.
Yep.
Your time starts now. Name any player over 35 years old to appear for Rangers this season.
Pass.
Which English side did Aberdeen play in their 2018 Europa League qualifier?
Burnley.
Who beat Liverpool 3-1 in the Champions League the other night?
Real Madrid.
How many games did you play for Plymouth?
One hit wonder.
Which team did Jeremy Frimpong?
Oh, you can't.
Which team did Jeremy Frimpong join in January?
Germany. Pass.
Name either Swedish player to have played in the Scottish Premier League this season.
Pass now. Go on.
Which Celtic player used to have the theme from the Magnificent Seven play when he scored?
The King.
How many caps did you get for Scotland?
18 and a half, 19, 18 and a half. One was against the Hong Kong Waiters.
Who's the manager? Who's the manager of Wraith Rovers?
John McGlynn.
Marvin Bartley is captain of which club?
Livingston.
In what month in 2001 did you win Player of the Month?
October.
Who is currently top of League One?
Falkirk.
Hibs keeper Offer Marciano plays for which country?
Israel.
Time.
There we go. That's not bad. That's not bad.
I think it's safe to say you're not at the bottom, Rab. I think you've got more than 3, mate.
We'll go
Aye,
through.
Who was the Rangers player? Over 30.
McGregor, Stephen Davis, Jermaine Defoe.
Do you know what? We did a quiz at Forfar one night, and it was something about players that had played in the European Cup final, had played in all the leagues.
Aye.
Didn't you know the answer? I was one of them.
Brilliant. Aye, the Rangers one, you could have had McGregor, Davis, or Defoe, Rab.
Right.
You're kicking yourself. The Germany one is Bayern Leverkusen. Jerry Frimpong went to. Swedish players you could have had Philip Hollander or Melker Hallberg. You won your Player of the Month, according to our sources. You won your Player of the Month in November of 2001.
You going to argue with Rab Douglas?
Right, I'll give you an extra point for that. I tell you what, then you did pretty good then, Rab. You got 10.
Well, that's all right.
Not
Decent,
bad.
mate. Decent.
bad at
Well
all.
done, mate. Well done.
I was going to say something there, but I better not.
Mate, I think you've said enough. You'll be getting your James Blunt kicked in the next time you see Big Rab, man.
Raider, you'll be up at hospitality soon, remember, with your butt bag.
I know.
Oh, mate, I know what you're going to say. No, just say it. Go.
What?
Because you got 10.
Well, aye, that's what I was going to say. listen, Rab.
I want to be far in the corner going, Kate, just say it.
No, listen, if we do bump into each other, you got to remember, right, working together, building safer communities, Semper Paratus, a fire service, it's a brotherhood, mate. It's been good to talk to you, and hopefully water's under the bridge, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Rab, honestly, mate, it's been class having you, big man. Cheers.
Thanks very much for coming on, Rob.
Appreciate that.
Right.
All the best for the rest
See you
of the
later,
season,
Rob.
mate. All the best.
All the best, mate. Right, bye-bye.
Cheers. Cheers.
See you later.